Hey everybody, this is Meathead, and I'm on a rooftop in Chicago with Chef Jamie Purviance of Weber's Way to Grill, the James Beard nominated cookbook, and the author of numerous cookbooks, including a steak cookbook. And today we're going to be cooking steaks. We're going to have some fun. We're going to have dueling steaks. We have two ways of preparing the steaks, identical in every regard except for one. Jamie is going to start by doing it the traditional way,
which is to sear and slide. Basically, sear it over very high heat on both sides and then move it to a cooler side of the grill to finish. And you're going to do
the inverse. I'm going to do it sear in the rear. I'm going to start it on the cooler side of the grill and get it up to the temp we like, and then move it over to the hot side and sear at the end. And then we're going to compare them. We're going to look at them, sniff them, taste them, eat them, and find out which is the best way to do steak.
So in order to get two steaks as close to identical as possible, we're going to cut them from the same piece of meat. And today we're doing ribeyes. We're cutting it from this boneless rib roast, and we're going to do them pretty thick. I think Craig and I both like them that way, you know, at least 1.25 inches, 1.25 inches.
That's beautiful.
And what I'm going to do is cut one here. Oh, look at that. No. It's got beautiful marbling all throughout, not too much fat around the perimeter. If there's too much fat, you run the risk of some flare-ups.
So a good thick steak allows you to get the ideal crust and the ideal color on the inside. And then today's experiment, when we sear at the beginning or sear at the end, is to see which one gives us the best crust and the best center.
So I think a steak cooks better if it has a little oil on it and some salt and pepper. So let me go ahead and brush these with some nice extra virgin olive oil and some kosher salt. I'm fairly generous with the kosher salt, is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the idea, Jamie, of putting the oil on the meat rather than on the grill. It helps dissolve the flavoring in the pepper, and it helps dissolve it, bring it down into the meat, and also it helps keep it from sticking to the grill. You can oil the grates if you want, but it burns off really fast if you do. I think it's much better to put it on the meat.
And you know, another thing that I often do is I put the oil and the seasoning on a good 15 or 20 minutes before I grill, because I think that the effect of the salt working with the meat juices really helps to develop that crust that we were talking about.
Yes.
So enough with the food science talk, let's grill. I've got my grill preheated pretty darn high. It's about 500 here, and I've got a fire now set up in a 2-zone configuration. So coals on one side, but yet an empty space on the other. And I'm just going to take one of these sticks. Do you care which one you grill? All right, I'll take the first one here and just drop it right over direct heat. And I like that sizzle. I like that smoke. That's why the lid was down earlier.
Oh, that smells so good.
Does it speak to your inner caveman?
It instantly.
Yeah.
The aromas start instantly.
So I've got a little flame here, but that doesn't bother me because I'm betting that as soon as I close this lid, it's going to go out. And I can verify that by looking through the little vent there.
I'm going to start mine on the cooler side. And we don't get that initial sizzle. I'm going to just try to bring it up to about 115 or 120 degrees slowly. So we're cooking first by convection on the cool side, then we move it over to the hot side like you do, where it cooks by direct heat or radiation. Two different cooking methods.
All right, I think this is about ready to turn. I noticed that it slides easily off of the grate. That's a good indication. And I've got amazing color on there. Look at that. Sizzling, dark brown, perfectly caramelized meat. So I'm going to give it a few more minutes on the second side, and then I'll finish it over the indirect heat.
Jamie, why did you pick charcoal for today's cooking?
I think it really helps out a steak. You know, a gas-grilled steak is often very wonderful, but there's something a little extra special about a charcoal grilled steak. We're cooking on the Weber Performer here, which is my favorite charcoal grill, because you've got so many features to work with. I mean, it's the basic Weber kettle grill, but what's interesting about it is it actually lights with a gas tank. There's a little propane tank down here, and you turn a knob and push a button, and you've got a flame right underneath the charcoal grate that you use just to light the charcoal. You don't cook the food with it, you just light the charcoal for 5 or 10 minutes, then you turn that off. Just saves you having to deal with, you know, other forms of lighting charcoal.
It's very cool.
So it's been about 8 minutes or so, and I can sense that, yes, my steak is perfectly cooked. I'm going for a medium rare, about 125 to 130 if you've got a thermometer.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Looks fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
So I'm going to let that rest as long as I can before I cut into it. So how's your steak doing?
I'm going to take my steak and move it on over to the high heat and get that sear. Put the lid on to keep it from flaring up. And we'll let it go for a few minutes. Get it good and dark on one side, flip it, get it good and dark on the other side. We eat. Oh, look at that. Ain't that pretty?
That looks fantastic. I mean, they both look good.
Yeah.
Got some side dishes.
Oh my goodness, look
Some
at that.
beverages. And I brought the big knife because I thought what we would do is just, you know, cut right through the middle of these and see how they look from the outside in.
Well, I can say right off the bat that yours has a darker brown exterior and looks absolutely spectacular. The Chinese say you eat first with your eyes, and I like the looks of yours better.
But of course, what matters most is I gotta say, this is really good. I mean,
so is this.
The salt, the meat, the oil, the fire, it's just a magic combination. And I think, oh, I know this technique works because I've done it probably about 1 million times. But how does yours taste?
Well, first of all, it's really easy to cut through. It's like butter. It is like butter. It doesn't have the good crust that I like. It doesn't have the really richness in the exterior that I like. But boy, is that center tender and juicy. Trade plates.
Yeah, let's switch.
Look at
Taste
that.
yours. That is really, really good. And you know what? I get the tenderness is amazing. I would say this is more tender for sure than that one. And I'm sure it's related to the technique. It just didn't spend as much time over that blazing hot heat.
Well, I have to concur with everything you've said. I really love the crust. It is a trade-off. There is a richer, butterier flavor from the fat in mine, but yours has the richer, darker, caramelized flavor on the crust.
Well, Craig, thank you for having me in your town of Chicago. This has been really fun and delicious.
Absolutely.
You know, I think that grilling great steak is sort of like, you know, perfecting your golf swing. You know, you never quite get there, but it's fun to keep trying again and again.